let's get into it because I am right here shoulder to shoulder with you in this same struggle, okay? I'm 54 years old. I thought by the time I was 54 years old, my life would be a party. There would be barbecues every weekend. We'd be going on cruises and bike trips with friends. I'd have all kinds of downtime to hang out with my buddies. What the hell has happened? It is like I feel like the older I get, the more boring I get. I feel like adult friendship, this is how I would describe adult friendship, at least for Mel Robbins. And I'm sure you can relate to this. Adult friendship is literally bumping into people randomly and being like, oh my God, it's so great to see you. We should get together. And then 6 months go by. And I know we kind of relate to that and we can laugh at it, but here's the thing I keep reminding myself, and I want to put this pin in it too for you. You ready? You're friends and you actually mean it when you say we should get together. But there's something that's standing in the way of us actually doing it. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's these 5 damn lies. Because these lies are keeping you from doing the simple things that help you create adult friendships. And these lies also make you feel horrible. And these lies also make you and keep you lonely. And so we're going to pack them all. And I want you to just get a couple simple takeaways, okay? You and me were friends. And you're not the only one that feels this way. And there are simple things that both you and I can do that we don't feel like doing that will fix this problem in our life. And it is a problem. Because friendship is so important and having fun is important and you deserve to feel connected to cool people and you are a cool person and so am I. And so I'm going to make sure after we unpack these lies, you have 3 simple tools to turn this puppy around, okay? Because that's what I want for you and it is certainly what I want for myself. So lie number one that you're telling yourself, everybody's life is a huge party. That is such bullshit, okay? We have all gotten sucked into the fake life on social media. Everybody's life is not a huge party, okay? Unless you live in a sorority or a fraternity, your life is not a huge party, okay? And even if you live in a sorority or fraternity, you may be lonely. You may not like the people that you're surrounded by. And so stop telling yourself this lie that everybody else's life looks like a huge party. And here's why you need to stop telling yourself this lie. It's so damaging because when you sit there and you compare where you're at to people's fake lives on social media, you are comparing yourself to something that's not true. And you are invalidating your own life experience. And let me just stop and let's role play here. How is sitting on your couch scrolling through social media? Oh, they're going on vacation together. Oh, look at that nice bike trip. Oh, those people got together for a bachelorette party. Oh, everybody's life is a party but mine. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel excited to text the friends that you have? Probably not. What does it do? It puts you in a mental death spiral that makes you start to swirl the toilet of comparison. It makes you feel like a loser. It makes you feel left out. And yet you probably spend an hour a day on social media just staring into the lives of strangers and convincing yourself that everybody's life is a party except for yours. No one's life is margaritas in Ibiza. That may be what influencers do, but that's not what normal people do. And the reason why you have to stop telling yourself this lie is because you will never feel motivated to make the effort and you will never feel worthy of the kind of friendships you deserve if you are constantly swimming in the toilet of comparison. So, what is the truth? What do you need to do to turn this around? Truth number 1, if you want your life to be a party, create it. That's truth number 1. You know, I'm guilty of this too. I'm guilty. I always know when I'm coaching myself because I go, that's number 1. I always raise my voice because I'm also kind of trying to get you to listen, but I'm also like, hey, Mel, stop looking at everybody else and saying, there's the party. Why am I not invited? And look in the mirror. If you actually want that for yourself, create it. I remember there was a period in my life where my business was really taking off and I was on the road all the time. And it was also that moment in time when our kids had gone from middle school into high school. And something interesting happens when you are in that area of your life where you are raising kids. And so as you listen to me tell this story, you can think about it from the lens of being an adult and raising kids. Or if you don't have kids and you're in your 20s, you can think about friendship from the same lane. Because, when you are raising kids or when you're a young kid, you travel in packs. Everybody's at the same soccer thing. You tend to hang out with people after, soccer's on Saturdays. Your parents are friends with the kids the parents of the kids you hang out with. And then something interesting happens around middle school. Kids start to peel off into club sports. You start to have your own preferences of friends, and the friend group starts to fracture. And when high school rolls around and you have more independence, you now can drive or you can get rides with your friends. You are on your own. And that huge friend group that you used to travel with, it sort of shatters, and you only see people kind of at games or at big events. And for me, it was happening at the same time. My career's taking off. I'm traveling all the time. We're now in high school, so there's not that large organizing thing that happens when you're younger as a kid and when you have young kids. And I started to realize I wasn't seeing my friends. Where did all my friends go? And I started to swim in the toilet of comparison. I would get home at the end of the week from work and I would look on social media and I would see people out at the country club that we didn't belong to posting photos. And I would see other groups of people. Maybe it was people who had sons on the same soccer team, but our daughters, were hanging out with and they're getting together. And I started to convince myself everybody's life is a big party. And this is why this lie is so damaging. You tell yourself you're not invited to the party. You start to feel like a loser that nobody likes. And I felt that way for a couple of years. And finally, one day I said to Chris, we just don't get invited anywhere. And Chris turned to me, it's so interesting. And he said, well, when's the last time we invited anybody over? Mic drop. Thank you, Chris Robbins. If you want your life to be a party, start throwing them. And stop telling yourself the lie that the party is somewhere else and you haven't been invited. Create your own. So that's truth number one. Okay? Truth number two is this. If you're swimming in that toilet of comparison and you're telling yourself everybody's life is a party but mine, and you feel like a loser, I want to tell you something. You don't need a lot of friends. This is a huge myth that I think that modern life has slammed in our face thanks to social media, because now we're aware of what everybody else is doing. The truth is, and this is based on research, that you don't need a huge group of friends. If you got one or two really close friends, I'm talking the kind of friendship that runs deep in terms of trust. If you have what researchers call a 4 a.m. friend, what is a 4 a.m. friend? A 4 a.m. friend is somebody in your life that if you called them at 4 o'clock in the morning, just because you wanted somebody to talk to, they would pick up. I want you to stop and think for a minute. Let's say that you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and there's nothing really wrong. It's not like you have an emergency, because I think in emergencies, there's lots of people you can call. But let's just say it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you wake up, can't go back to sleep. You're feeling kind of lonely. You just want somebody to talk to. Who would you call? For me, I know I would call Jody Birkin. She's my best friend from elementary school. She has trouble sleeping. She's probably awake anyway. Hi, Jodes. And she would pick up. I would call Amy. Amy is sitting right across from me right now. I could absolutely call Amy. I can think of a couple people. I would call Gretchen Larkin. I would call Lisa Schwartz. There are a bunch of people in my life I could call. So I'm doing okay. If there was one human being that popped into your mind that you could call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I know there is, you are doing okay. And I also have a confession to tell you. As much as I am jealous of what looks like huge parties, and as much as I am the kind of person that thinks she wants to always be at a huge party, the truth is I'm very extroverted in my work, but I'm really introverted in my personal life. And I think it's important for you to hear it's okay if you're not the big girl gang or guy gang type of person. Hey, it's Mel. I want you to stop thinking about what you want and actually do something about it. What can you do? Jump into my new free training called Make It Happen. This training gives you the tools. It's packed with science. It comes with a free workbook. It's exactly what you need right now. More than 500,000 people are taking it. You have the power to change your life. Together, let's make it happen. All you got to do is click on the link in the caption, melrobbins.com/make it happen. It's free. I created it for you. Why wouldn't you take it? Don't miss out on the life you could be living. Let's make it happen together. There's nothing wrong with you if you just prefer to run in a small circle. Now, I think my circle has gotten so small, it's basically become a dot because of COVID, but we're going to get into that when we get into some of the other lies. But I need to say that loud and clear. It is a lie that everybody's life is a huge party. That's number one. And the truth is, if you want a party, start throwing one. And the other truth is, you don't need to have a huge group of friends. You know, I often think about the fact that, some really fun memories that you'll have is with an enormous crowd of people. Like, think about being at a huge wedding, right? The band is playing, you're dancing like crazy. It's super fun. You're surrounded by family. You got some friends there. All the friends that you go out and party with, are any one of them your 4 a.m. friend? Probably not. Probably not. And we're going to get into this as we talk about the other 4 lies that you keep telling yourself. So let's keep going. Lie number 2 sounds a little like this. I don't fit in. Or maybe you say this to yourself. People don't like me. That's me. You want to know what is going on in the Mel Robbins head here? It's people don't like me. Or another way I would say this, you're mad at me. I just presume I've done something wrong. That's how screwed up my wiring is. I'm working on this, as you know. And so I'm going to continue confessing how this plays out in my life. Because I know you look at me and you're like, you think people don't like you? But you are like the most confident person on the planet. Like you show up, you roll into a room and things are on fire, Mel. Like, what do you mean? What I project is very different than what the voice in my head is programmed to say. And that's why it's a lie. My voice in my head tells me a lie, and the voice in your head is telling you a lie too. Here's how this plays out for me. I am the kind of person that is always trying to read people's emotions. I wonder if people are upset with me. In fact, I don't even wonder if people are upset with me. I just presume that they are. I'm the type of person that would put emojis behind any kind of text if I feel like that might be taken in the wrong way or might hurt somebody. And here's what I'm learning from the Mel Robbins podcast as we interview these experts and as I dig into your stories and DMs with you, is that this is complete tomfoolery. It's not true. This is garbage from my childhood. This is attachment theory stuff. Clearly, I have an insecure attachment style. If I'm constantly worried, clearly I've got coping mechanisms and wiring that I developed when I was little that I don't want anymore as an adult. And so why is this lie so damaging? People don't like me. Well, let's role play this one. If you're sitting at your house or in your car or scrolling on social media and you're telling yourself the lie, I don't fit in, people don't like me. On a scale of 0 to 10, how motivated are you to put yourself out there? How about negative 27? That's how motivated you are. You are not only not motivated, you are more likely to hide. Because if you believe, because of this lie you've been telling yourself, that people don't like you, why on earth would you put yourself out there? This is why I need to shake both of us by the shoulders. This is why we got to start reaching for the truth. This is why we've got to combat this awful programming that tells us the lie that people don't like you. It's not true. And I'm not just saying that because I like you. I'm not just saying that because I know you're a good person. I'm saying it because there is research around this. It's called the liking gap. And this research, hold on to your hats, people. This comes from psychologists at Cornell, Harvard, Yale. So we're talking smarty pants research here. This means we got to believe it, okay? It's called the liking gap. What is the liking gap? It's this lie. It's the tendency to underestimate how well liked you really are. See, you feel awkward about reaching out, and so do I, due to this liking gap. We don't reach out because we don't think people like us. We're underestimating the truth. What's the truth? People like you. Period. Nobody's mad at you. Period. Stop living your life as if somebody's mad at you. How about we flip this instead? How about you start living your life assuming that people like you? What a radical idea. What a radical idea to walk into work and say to yourself, people like me here. What a radical idea to walk into a party this weekend or to a networking event and go, people like me here. I mean, that is a revolutionary idea. And I will tell you something. I struggle with this. I struggle with this a lot. This is one that I'm really working on in my own life. And I'm telling you this because I want you to work on it. And I'm going to confess something. Boy, this is really turning into like a therapy session. I wish you were really sitting here so you could hold my hand. So when I was launching the Mel Robbins podcast, I was told that the best way to grow a podcast show is to be interviewed on other podcast shows. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? And here's the truth. I have a lot of friends that host podcasts that are really successful podcast hosts. Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, Jenna Kutcher, Amy Porterfield, Koya Webb, Glo Antonimo, the Billius, the list goes on and on and on. And when I was getting ready to launch this, I was telling myself this lie. People don't like me. If I reach out, it's a burden. Because if you are hesitant to ask for support, it's because you're telling yourself deep down this lie that somebody doesn't like you or that they're going to be mad at you or burdened by you. And I am telling you that I struggle with this. And so there were a couple friends of mine, Jay and Lewis and the Billius and Rich Roll, that all said, hey, and the Boss Babes, they said, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. And I didn't reach out to anybody else. Do you want to know why? Because of this lie. Because there was a part of me that was like nervous that when somebody received a text from me, even though these are my friends, I was trapped in the liking gap, which in my opinion is like another toilet we swirl in. We swirl in this toilet of comparison, and now we're also in the toilet of, do you like me? No, actually, I've decided that you don't. And here's something kind of wild, because life gave me a really important lesson. So the show launches, and we just explode in terms of popularity. And within a week, we got 500,000 downloads, and we're on the top of the charts. And I got a text from a very good friend of mine, Brendan Bouchard, somebody who has helped me in some of the worst moments of my life. He is just a gem of a human being. Please check him out. He's awesome. In fact, he just launched a killer marketing podcast. If you're in business, I would check that sucker out. He texted me. And he said that I thought twice about texting this to you, but have I done something wrong? And when I read that, my heart sank. I'm thinking, why does he think he's done something wrong? And he said, I saw that a bunch of our mutual friends were supporting your podcast launch, and you didn't ask me. And it stopped me in my tracks because there's a reason why I didn't ask him. He was launching a podcast network at the same time. And he had helped me so profoundly with the High Five Challenge and Growth Day. And I felt like I just couldn't burden the guy anymore. Why? Because I was telling myself a freaking lie. What's the lie? That people don't like me, that I'm a burden, that I can't ask for help. It's complete garbage, everybody. In fact, when you don't ask your friends to support you, they feel like your life is a party and they're left out. Isn't that unbelievable? We're all sitting there swirling in this toilet of comparison and assuming that people don't like us, and it's not true. So let's leverage the research from Cornell and Harvard and Yale, and let's be smarter about this. Let's not let our emotions and our insecurities from childhood ruin the potential of amazing adult friendships. Because when you tell yourself that lie, now you know it's destroying your desire to reach out. And here is the truth you need to live by, and I need to live by. People like you more than you think. So you better start acting like it. Now, let's move on to lie number 3. Lie number 3, BFF. Remember that from middle school? We're BFFs, BFFL, BFFs for life. Let's get the matching necklaces of the heart that is like kind of broken in half, and you'll wear one and I'll wear the other. Here's the reason why best friends forever is a lie. Best friends aren't always forever. Friends come and go in your life, even your best friends. Friendships fade. They fizzle out. And I've even experienced that over time, sometimes that best friend that faded or fizzled out because life just does that, it's a natural part of life, sometimes you find your way back into each other's lives again. Now, the reason why I believe this best friends forever is a lie is because it puts pressure on you. It puts pressure on you to label a friendship, and it puts pressure on you to hang on to things just because you've spent a lot of time with somebody. And when you hold on to friendships that no longer feel like a great connection or feel energizing or support who you're becoming, you know what happens when you are friends out of obligation? You start to feel resentment. And the other reason why it is so important to stop telling yourself, you got to be best friends, we got to be best friends forever, best friends forever, is because that pressure that you're putting on yourself to hold on to things that don't feel right anymore, that's the reason why you don't have room for new people to come into your life. And look, if you've been best friends forever and it's working for you, that is freaking awesome. I'm talking about the lie we tell ourselves that if you don't have a best friend forever, somehow you're damaged. If you don't have that lifelong childhood friend, somehow you're an idiot. That if you don't have best friends and you walk around in a squad and you've got Halloween costumes where you're all matching, you've screwed up your life. It puts pressure on you that is completely manufactured, and it's totally unnecessary. So what's the truth? The truth is, you may not always be friends with somebody forever. And that's good. That's good because you want friendships in your life that support your growth. You want friendships in your life that have a mutual exchange of energy. And you need to take the pressure off yourself. And you got to expand the way that you think about friendship. Because when you look at BFF, not as best friends forever, but best friends are flexible. It creates room for growth. It creates room for the kinds of friendships that come in and out of your life based on what you need and what you can give. Doesn't that sound nice? I think it sounds really nice. So here's kind of a new way to think about friendship. It's flexible because friendship is mutual. It's supportive. It's a connection that is based on energy. It's based on what your passion is right now. It's based on what your goals are right now. It's based on the effort that you're putting in. And it's not necessarily based on history. You've experienced this. There could be somebody that'll walk into your life next week, and it's literally like you knew them forever. They were the exact person with the exact energy and vibe that you need right now. And that doesn't mean that you're no longer friends with the people that you've been friends with for a long time. It just means that if best friends are flexible, it means that they come in and out of your life in terms of intensity. And I think a lot about this right now because I've just moved. I've moved from a community that I was in for 26 years. I'm still on my text chain with my next door neighbors. I'm getting the texts about the fact that there's a fox running around or coyotes were this, or does anybody know a person that can dog sit? And I'm also still really good friends with all my girlfriends that were in moms groups together and, people that I've come in and out of my life. But I now live 3.5 hours away. And so if you're flexible about friendship, you take the pressure off. And you know that just because you don't see people all the time doesn't mean you're no longer friends. It's going to take a little bit of effort. This idea of flexible friendships is so important. And I want to add a framework to it, okay? We're going to dig deeper into this when we get to the tools near the end of this, which you have to hear because I want you to use them. But being flexible about friendship is super important because here's the truth about friendship. Friendships fade because when your priorities change, so will your friendships. And I can give you a bazillion different examples of this. Let's say that you're the first of all your friends to get married. You'll start to notice that you start hanging out with other couples more. Why? Because the pattern of your life changed. If you're flexible with friendship, you don't put pressure on yourself. You don't start to go, oh, are we still friends? Are we not friends? You just know that it's going to require a little bit more energy because the patterns of your life has changed. If you start to see the world differently, maybe because you're now a vegetarian or you've stopped drinking or you've gotten very active with social justice or you are really committed to your health. The patterns of your life just changed. And your friendships will also change. And that's why you need to be flexible in your friendships because again, what is the purpose of your friends? It's literally for this mutual supportive exchange of energy that helps you become a better you. Another reason why is that as you start to grow, everything about you changes. And things are going to start to feel forced or draining because they were connected to the old you. So when you realize that a relationship is getting forced, right? Or that it's draining you or it's taking way too much energy, be flexible. And by the way, you've been that person for somebody else. As somebody else has been trying to grow or as their interests have changed or as the patterns in their life, they got a different job, they moved to a different state. Doesn't mean you're no longer friends. It just means it's not as close of a friend anymore because the connection's a little off. The energy, that's okay. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to move on. And instead of making yourself wrong, instead of feeling guilty, instead of gripping it or forcing it, just be flexible. Just direct your energy in a new relationship. Move toward the people that feel like the light, that feel energizing, that feel like they're aligned with where you're headed, instead of holding so tightly to the folks that were with you in places where you've been. It's all good. It's all good. And by the way, when you do that, you create space for something new. It's a beautiful thing. Lie number 4 is really simple. You do not need to be everybody's friend. You can't be everybody's friend. The truth is, not everybody is meant to be your friend. And the second that it feels like a force, be flexible, okay? Here's one of the things that I love to think about, is that you can be the whole package, but if you're delivered to the wrong address, not going to work. Another quote that I've seen that I just love is you could be the most amazing, juicy, end of summer ripe peach. But if you don't like peaches, you're not going to be a fit for that person. Doesn't matter how good you are. Remember, flexibility. I want you to understand this because when you tell yourself, oh, I got to be liked by everybody. Everybody's got to like me. I got to be everybody's friend. That lie turns you into people pleaser. That lie is why you are in your head going, do they like me? How do I need to change? I know I'm a peach and they don't like peaches, but maybe if I disguise myself as a plum, they'll actually like me. Stop doing that. Embrace the fact that you're a peach. Embrace your whole package and stop forcing yourself to be liked by everybody. The reason why this lie is so important to catch is because there's nothing wrong with you. The more you embrace who you are, the more you're honest about what works for you, the more you show up as your full self. Imagine that. Imagine assuming that people just like you, that juicy peach that you are as you are. Imagine if you just assume, imagine if you're flexible. Imagine who might show up. Somebody who likes peaches. Wouldn't that be a wonderful change? That's why you got to catch that, because this is about energy. This is about you and where you are in your life and where you're going, matching with beautiful human beings that are on that same leg of the journey with you. That's what this is about. So be flexible. And man, you are a juicy peach. Embrace that stuff. I love peaches, by the way. That's why I love you. Lie number 5. Get ready. You're going to hate this one because I hate this one. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I don't want to go out. I'd rather just stay home. I have social anxiety. I'm an introvert. Yes, I've said all these things to myself too. Here's the truth. Friends are critical to a happy life. Friends are the thing that make life meaningful. You deserve amazing friendships, and you deserve to be an amazing friend. You know, for a long time, I've shared a lot about this. I have felt really freaking lonely. And I'm okay being alone. I got no problem walking into a restaurant alone, rolling up to the bar, sitting at the bar and having dinner by myself. In fact, I kind of like doing that. I have no problem going to see a movie alone. I have no problem going for a run or a hike alone. There's a big difference between enjoying time by yourself and being lonely because you don't have friendship in your life and you don't feel a sense of connection or community. And for a really long time, that was me. And the lie I was telling myself is I was too busy. I became addicted to busyness as a way to cover up the fact that I was really lonely. My friends were working. Our kids are all launched. Everybody's scattered in a bazillion directions. I felt like I wasn't seeing my friends. And guess what? My friends felt the same way. Nobody's life was a big party. Everybody is just in their cars, driving here and there, sitting at home, working remote, trying to navigate this crazy thing called life, particularly these last 3 years. As our kids have gotten older, at least in my case, I find that they need me more, not less. And so I am just like in my little tunnel. And it turns out so are you. Everybody feels this way. It's not just you. And here's the lie. You're not too busy for one of the most important things in your life. You're not too tired to make the effort for something that brings meaning. You're not too shy or introverted or whatever to make the effort. And I'm really worried about where we are right now. And I'm worried about the fact that because of COVID, that we have got a new default. And the new default is staying home. The new default is, it used to just be that it was hard to get to the gym. I think for a lot of us, it's actually hard to get out of your house if you're working there all day. And it takes a lot of effort. I talked about this in our episode, Motivation is Garbage. We talked about something called activation energy. Activation energy is a fancy pants term that I think was developed by that famous psychiatrist at University of Chicago, Csikszentmihalyi, I think is how you say his name. And activation energy is the force. Like we're talking physics, we're talking rocket fuel force that you need to push your rear end out of your house after being on Zoom calls all day to go see a friend. It is so easy to opt out of the book club tonight. It is so easy to not go to that new hockey league or the intramural soccer thing or the lecture at the library because we've gotten used to being alone in our homes. This is so dangerous to your happiness. Do not let the fact that you've gotten used to being home be the reason why you don't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 push your rear end out the door and make the effort, because the effort's small. The reward is everything. It's enormous. It's profound. In study after study after study, and there's one famous study, you may have heard of it, called the Harvard Men Study, where they studied, they followed groups of men that had graduated from Harvard for over 60 years. So they followed them from their entire adult life. And at the end of the study, it was 100% conclusive that the thing that brings the greatest meaning in your life is the people that you have surrounded yourself with. Now, let's look at that sentence, that you have surrounded yourself with. Sitting at home alone is not how you surround yourself with people. And you and I both know it, and we're both guilty of this. and move into a new town like many of you have during COVID. How many of you literally changed up your whole life? You had this reckoning. You're like, that's it. I'm going to relocate. I'm going to change things up. And now you sit at home alone. You have to make the effort. So that's what we're going to talk about next. You have the 5 lies. Let me summarize them for you. Lie number 1, everybody else's life is a huge party. Not true. Stop saying it to yourself. Either go make a party or just focus on making a few great friends and stop making yourself wrong. Get out of the toilet bowl of comparison. Lie number 2, people don't like me. That is a complete lie. You now have the research. Let's use the truth from Cornell, Harvard, and Yale. And people like you more than you think. Start acting like it. Lie number 3, BFF. Stop saying best friends forever. Stop putting pressure on yourself to be friends with everybody forever. It creates resentment. It is a total lie that you have to do it. Let's tell the truth. Friendships need to work for you. Friendships come and go, and the best kinds of friendships are flexible. So take the pressure off yourself and tune into what you need in this stage of your life and where you're going, and move toward the people that feel warm, that feel light, that feel energizing, that are supporting where you're going. Be flexible in who's coming and who's going. It is the best way to do this. Lie number 4, I need to be everybody's friend. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not everybody is meant to be your friend. You get to be selfish here. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Remember, you are a juicy peach. You got to find people that like peaches. That's what you deserve, okay? And finally, the final lie that is keeping you from having the adult friendships that you deserve is telling yourself you're too busy, you're too tired, you're too this, you're too that to make the effort. The truth is, this is one of the most important aspects of you creating a better life. There is nothing other than your mental health that deserves the effort more. And by the way, you start working on developing some great friendships and your mental health is going to improve too. I used to struggle all the time with like walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around issues, like seeing somebody in a bad relationship but not wanting to say anything because she's really in love with them or whatever, or seeing somebody getting walked all over at work and not wanting to say anything. And I used to not say things because I gave a shit about somebody being mad at me or disappointed or hurting their feelings. And I personally look back on that and say to myself, you're a bad friend. You should have given a shit. You should have given a shit, Mel, so much so that you were willing to risk somebody being disappointed or mad with you, that you told them the truth. And you told them the truth because you cared about them and you needed somebody to tell them the truth. Have you ever been in that kind of situation? Because you strike me, Cameron, so much as somebody that can, boom, just get right to the heart of something like that. Your mind is so like powerful.
Yeah, I feel like I've always been the honest friend, but it definitely has been a line that I've walked, and sometimes I've crossed over it and I've come off as a dick. And I think that's, as I've reflected and gotten older, trying to find that balance of when can I not give a shit and really just like say it as it is, but when is it going to cross the line? And there's been many moments where I feel like it's been necessary, and it's important to remember when I feel like Dr. Amy reacted in the perfect way. She was really honored that you were willing to give her that advice and take the time to kind of explain why you felt she should be going by a different title. But I feel like in a lot of those situations, it's normal. You're going to get someone that's defensive and that doesn't want to hear it. So
my mom always used to say that difficult conversations are a lot like putting a time-released grenade in somebody's head. Like, it might not explode when you're saying it. They get defensive, they argue against it, but eventually it'll click and go off. Because if you're coming from, and I think that's the takeaway as you're listening to us, that you're not doing anybody any favors if you give a shit about disappointing people or upsetting people, but you are being an incredible friend or family member or mentor or leader or colleague if you can really align with your values in wanting to support someone and wanting to tell the truth, and you give a shit about that. And when you do that, I think you can manage your tone, but you don't censor yourself. And that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Mel. And you know what? I want you to stop thinking about what you want and watching videos on YouTube and actually go out into your life and do something about it. Because action is the answer. And the first action you should take is jump into my brand new free training. It's called Make It Happen. This training gives you the tools to go from thinking to doing. It's packed with science. It comes with a free workbook. And it's exactly what you need right now. More than 500,000 people are taking it. And the fact is, you do have the power to change your life. And I want to help you. All you have to do is click in the link in the caption or go to melrobbins.com/makeithappen. It's free. You jump right in. I'm going to be your coach. I created it for you. Why wouldn't you take this opportunity to make your life better? Go do it. Do not miss out on the life you could be living. Let's make it happen together. I literally have something I have to talk to you about. Today's episode, friendship. Making your life as an adult as fun as summer camp. And an amazing 3-part takeaway about how to make adult friends using coffee shops in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay?
Yes.
But first, I came from a coffee shop. Can we talk about this freaking pastry that I brought?
It's gorgeous.
Oh my God.
I love a pastry, everybody. I exercise simply to eat a 10,000 calorie pastry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Well, it's worth it.
Yes,
For
we're going to
sure.
get to the friendship thing first, but first I want to become besties with this pastry. Most of you don't know this, but I have a love affair with pastries because my grandparents, Betty and Frank Schneeberger, they... What are you
that
laughing
name.
about?
That name.
You're laughing at my freaking
Well,
name?
yeah, it is a funny
It's
name,
just
and also you
perfect.
act like, you know Betty and Frank Schneeberger? Yeah, right down the road. Like it's like a very funny, like.
Well, they're no
Betty
longer,
and
they're under the
Frank.
ground and up in
Yeah.
heaven
No,
now.
I'm
but-
sure. Yeah, no, but they sound like folksy and
Yeah.
like they are people that we would like to
yes.
be friends
I
with.
would like to
and
know
eat a
them.
pastry with.
They are
and
they
Frank.
are salt of the earth. My grandfather immigrated here from Austria at the age of 15.
Wow.
He was in the Navy. My grandmother grew up in a coal mining town in Ohio, and they met because she was shipped off from the coal mining town to become a maid for some rich family based on a newspaper ad.
Whoa.
Oh
And
my
they
gosh.
met, and when he got out of the Navy, they started working in a bakery in Chatham, New Jersey. And my grandfather was the baker. And ultimately, over the years, they bought out the owner, and they were the Chatham bakery people. This is, by the way, why I never saw them, because they ran a bakery
Yeah.
by themselves. And when you run a bakery,
Dude.
you're running a bakery.
When
you
you're
cannot,
on when you're on Team Butter, you just are on Team Butter all the time.
Yeah, so I always think about my grandparents when I see a great pastry. And my love of flowers, that's my other love, comes from my parents because I was forced to weed every single weekend of my life and deadhead. But so I love pastries. And this one is a winner. And I promise we're going to get to the friendship. But first, can we just all collectively...
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's the breakthrough that I had. When I first moved to this tiny ass town, a couple years ago now, I guess I've lived here full time now for about a year. When I first moved here, I hated it. I was lonely. I had no friends other than you two. And you two are amazing, but I'm sorry, like it's kind of lame if your only friends are from work, right?
Yes.
And I hated it here. Today, I realized that I have had a life-changing breakthrough. I woke up today and I feel like I live in adult summer camp.
That's awesome.
I woke up, I rolled out of bed, I had my glass of water, I made my bed, and then I checked my phone, and Amy, you and David Gerbitz were already texting like schoolgirls.
We were.
Like at 5:30 in the morning.
We
He's
were-
like, who's up?
Yeah.
And you're texting photos of the view
Yes.
this morning. And then
We
you're like,
were-
who wants to do something? Is Amy pulling a card? Are we going for a walk? What's happening? And then you said, Mel, get in here. And that was the last text I read. And I was like, here? What do you mean in here? And then I realized You were talking about just get in the text chat.
Yeah.
And talk to us.
Well, we were up before the bugle, at camp, kind of like we were just up, and yeah, we're like-minded in that way. We're all up early in the morning, doing our thing, getting our day started. So I was like, Mel, get in here. What have you got to say? What are we doing?
Oh my God. And I felt this like, I have friends.
Yeah.
I have friends that are having fun that want me to have fun with them. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then like it just was this moment. And so, excuse me. I'm so excited that I'm like choking myself here with my own air. That as I was reflecting on this morning, I thought, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I get from being new to a tiny community, feeling so depressed and lonely, being worried that I had made a huge mistake by leaving a place that I had been for a very long time, convincing myself I would never be happy, I would never find people that were my friends, I would never have an experience in my life where I had friendships like people have in college or you have at summer camp and you're just having fun and you're doing life together and there's some drama, but no drama really,
Right.
Yeah.
And here I am. And I've created it. And I realize, because I really want you, the point of the episode today is to get you to consider that it is within your power to create an experience as an adult where your life feels like summer camp, where your friendships are really fun, where you're having fun, where you wake up to text chains where friends are already talking, you're walking into a coffee shop and people that you know and love are walking in just randomly. And so and that's what's happened. And oddly enough, it has to do a lot with coffee shops.
I can't wait to hear this. You know what she's talking about, Jesse, though.
Let's do it.
Okay, great. And I just need to also say that there are people outside doing all kinds of work around here. There are tractors. There are stone walls that are getting built. There is pavement going in today. And so, you're going to hear some stuff.
Yes.
And we're not going to edit it out because the whole point of the Mel Robbins podcast is that we're doing life together. And we're putting our arm around you and taking you on that walk with us.
Along with all the brawny men outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're jumping on the mic.
Yeah, we're just jumping on the mic together. And I want to inspire you today to think about the next 12 months of your life and the breakthrough that is available to you if you start to show up differently and you get super intentional about creating fun with friends and meeting new people and putting yourself out there. And it does have to do with... Oh my God, there's
another
mine.
friend.
Oh my God. It's a friend of mine calling, like on cue. Gretchen. Can you hear me, Gretchen?
Mel?
Yes, you're on the podcast. We were just talking about friendship and how it feels like summer camp here. And then you called.
Oh, I'm so glad I called too. I'll call you back when you're done with your podcast.
All right, but just tell everybody how miserable I was a year ago. Like no friends, sad sack, depressed.
Well, you thought you had no friends. You did have friends. And you were depressed and you were sad sack, but you had friends and you were loved. You just didn't feel it.
Oh, whoa, drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
Okay, wow,
Exactly.
Gretchen, okay. She sounds like the camp counselor this morning.
Yes.
All right, my love.
All right, I love you. I'll call you later. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should start there.
Yeah.
Like maybe you do have friends and you're not letting them in. And
I
you're
believe
not
it.
embracing it. Amy, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I believe it. You're looking at me because I just said that.
Yes.
Yes.
Just yesterday, Amy turned to me and was like, I need to find my friend group. I'm like, bitch,
Yeah,
I'm in your
I
friend
know.
group. What are you
I
talking about?
thought about that. How can you? And I told my husband Tim about that, and he was like, "That is probably the rudest thing you could ever say to somebody." I need friends while looking at a room full of people that are like your contacts.
Not you.
Not you. I mean, real friends.
You
No,
thought we were
no,
friends?
it's true. But you know what that points to though, Mel, is I was feeling, a little sad and like I didn't have friends. Why? Because I was looking at life through the lens of I don't have any friends. I was literally telling the person, you, that I am friends with, well, I don't have any friends. How lame is that, And I was thinking about that moment and how I changed my mindset on that, and how, you were kind of like, all right, listen, this ends here if you're not going to consider me, like a good friend. And I thought about it and I thought, why do I feel like that? It's just a habit to feel like that.
Yes. And I also think that as an adult, there is a major change in mindset that you need to make. And interestingly, Gretchen clearly called at the exact right time to make sure that we talked about this. I mean, it's kind of uncanny because when you're growing up, so much of your friendships are orchestrated through teams and through the classes that you're in and through people that live on your hallway or people that you work with. And so they are made for you through proximity and through the number of times that you see them.
Right.
But the older that you get, the more intentional you need to be about causing those bump-ins and causing reasons to get together. And what Gretchen is saying is something that I think happens to all of us. As life gets busier, as you get older, as people move away, as people go through different life experiences, whether it's a change in a job or an ending of a marriage or a breakup or whatever, or start having kids or get a ton of dogs or whatever ends up happening, your friendships change because you stop seeing people so much. But here's the big thing, and the mistake that I made is I stopped thinking that the people that I didn't see as much were my friends. We associate the amount of times you see somebody with whether or not they're actually a friend of yours. And I am here to make you think differently on a number of levels because these are big breakthroughs that I had. A year ago when I was a sad, sack, lonely, I got no friends bitch,
I remember it.
Yeah.
I was so sad. Amy's favorite story about me is like the definition of pathetic.
Yeah, well, you had just moved into this house, and it is a gorgeous home, and your surroundings are fantastic, and yet you're crying your eyes out, and like Gretchen said, super sad sack. And I was trying to cheer you up, and I said, Mel, what do you think you'll do with the landscaping here? Knowing that you love flowers, I said, do you think you're maybe going to plant some hydrangea here or peonies that you love? And you said, I don't know. I'll probably just leave it all dirt.
And what do we know? Who's outside today?
Right. We're planting.
Yeah, and a year later, here I am planting
Yes.
peonies, hydrangeas, and tons of hosta.
Yeah.
And here, this is an important part because when it comes to loneliness and friendship, it doesn't matter how nice your car is. It doesn't matter how good your job is. It doesn't matter how much money you have or you don't have. If you tell yourself the story that nobody likes you or that all your friends are gone or that you're the only one that doesn't have a friend group,
Or you can't have any fun.
or you can't have any fun, or you're not having any fun, or you'll never have fun again, you will stay stuck there. And the truth is, your friends didn't go anywhere. Your friends, I am convinced, and I need you to hear this loud and clear, every single adult right now is having a friendship crisis. You believe that your friends are having this wild party and you're not invited, and it's not true. Every single time I talk about this topic with anybody, they chime in and say, I feel the exact same way. I feel like I never see my friends. I feel lonely. I'm not having as much fun as I would like to have. And I got so sick and tired of going, I'm just going to live with dirt. I'm not going to plan anything. That I said, woman, if you want to have more fun, if you want friends, you got to put your ass out there again.
You do.
You have to cause this. Just like if I want plants to grow, I got to plant the seeds. I got to split the hosta.
Yes.
I got to stick them in the ground. And I'm telling you, I want to inspire you today to think differently about friendship. Okay. I want today to be the day that you turn the corner and you start to plant those seeds, because you can wake up a year from now and go, holy guacamole. My life feels like camp.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends. I'm having fun again. I'm like bringing the fun.
activities.
There's activities.
And they're on purpose friends. Like what I
Yes.
call on purpose friends.
What does that
right?
mean?
Like not friends from work, although we know that they're great.
You're an on-purpose friend,
Yeah.
though, for
No,
me.
yeah,
I'm not
no,
calling
you're
you
an on-purpose friend for me too.
Wait, not an on-purpose friend? What is an on-purpose
On-purpose friend is somebody that you deliberately saw and wanted to be friends with and made that friendship happen.
Okay.
So not on purpose would be work friends or friends that you, I don't know, that you maybe do some kind of sporting activity with, but like, it's not because you're a friend group first. It's just the sport.
They're an
comes
acquaintance
first.
kind of person.
There's a common bond, but that bond comes before the friendship. So like the softball team's going to always exist whether you're on it or not.
Hold on a second.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, I love this distinction.
Okay.
The difference between the bond that's created versus the friendship that's developed. Mm-hmm. So to use the three of us as an example, we have a bond because we work together every day, but our friendship got created because we took it way further than just the bond of work.
Yes. There's
I
caring and
love that.
empathy and nurturing and support.
Outside
and
hours, like-
outside
Yeah.
hours.
And outside and probably HR non-compliant.
Yeah. But that's cool
conversations.
because it's on
Yes.
purpose.
Yes.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah.
So
We want to.
on purpose friends are amazing. And I'm kind of just opening up to that too, because you don't feel like I think that's part of the reason why I felt like I didn't have any friends, because you feel like they're just friends with me because I work with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they're just friends with me because I'm in school with them.
Right.
Right. And that can make you feel like you're not really a good friend.
Yeah.
But on purpose friends, for me, fill your life with such vitality and activity and excitement because they're there for you.
Yeah.
They're the friend that's behind you, not behind the softball team or the organization that you work for or whatever. They're there for you. How great is that to be on purpose with your friendship?
Great. So already two massive takeaways, and I haven't even talked about the coffee
We
shop
gotta get to the
trip.
pastry, I
But
know.
I want to make sure that we pull this apart, because number one, there's a lie you're telling yourself, which is you have no friends. That's actually not true.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends are still there. Mm-hmm. What's been missing is the fact that you're not being proactive about developing the friendship piece. So let's take Amy's little framework there. Every relationship, when it's a friendship, has both the bond, which is usually created from some outside force. You're a neighbor, or you're working together, or you go to the same yoga studio.
Or your family.
Or your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Or whatever, like you went to college together. When the bond that brings you together all the time disappears, it's on you to keep the caring and the interest and the outreach alive, because that's what the friendship actually is. And so I want you to understand that all those people that you used to hang out with, that you used to feel that bond with, they're still there. Mm-hmm. And they're thinking you left.
Yeah.
And you have an opportunity to flip your thinking and realize it's literally about reaching back out. It's literally about getting very intentional about the reconnection, because the last 3 years and everything that we've all been through, I think, evaporated the bond that brought most of us together in real life with our friends. And so that's takeaway number one. Takeaway number two is that this is possible in your life. You can have an experience in your adult life that your entire adult life, when it comes to friendship, is a camp experience. That you're in it with other like-minded people, that you're having fun, that there are activities. And if you want that, then get the shovel out and start planting some seeds.
Jeannie wants to know, Mel, when do I know when it's time to walk away from a friendship?
When you're giving more than you're getting. And I want to unpack this a little bit. Here's the thing. Friendships are a give and take. And I think it's very important when you have a friendship that if your friend is going through a hard time, that you are there for your friend, that you understand that they are not capable of pouring back into you the way that you may need them to. And part of friendship is showing up in hard times. And so when I say that you know when a friendship is no longer worth it, when it's been a sustained feeling of you not getting back what you're putting in. It's no longer that somebody is going through postpartum depression, or they're going through a divorce or a breakup, or they're recovering from an illness, and your role in the friendship in this moment is to be the strong one, to be the one checking in. It's a situation where it's just sustained. You're the one always making the effort. You're the one that is always asking about them. You're the one that is always making the plans. You're the one that is always reaching out, and you are not seeing that reciprocated. And the thing about friendship that we don't think about is not everybody's supposed to be in your life forever. And I don't know where we all got this idea that you have to be lifelong friends with everybody. You're not going to be, because friendship is about energy exchange. It's about a vibe. It's about you and this person being in a place in your lives where you are able to kind of bring out the best in one another. You're able to support one another. You can laugh together. And sometimes those friendships are because of circumstance. It's because of where you live or where you work or who your kids are friends with or who your partner is friends with. And that's how you came to be. And I talked about this with my daughter a lot, about a relationship that ended, that sometimes your friendships or your relationships make a lot of sense when you share a container of college or a job or being of a certain relationship status or living in a certain place. And what you'll find in life is when the container disappears, oftentimes the binds that kept you in the friendship disappear as well. And that's normal. And it means you are meant to pour your energy into other friendships. And so you will know when a friendship is no longer worth investing in, because you have been feeling this way for a while and you have checked in with said person, and there is not something devastating or difficult going on with them such that they need your support. And here's the other thing. If you have a friend that's been down for a long ass time and you have been their support system, and over the course of the years, you're not getting anything back or very little back, it's okay to pull back. It's okay to spend less energy. You're not abandoning them entirely, but nobody said that your life had to be about pouring into other people and expecting nothing in return. You get to spend your time and energy on relationships that lift you up, that fulfill you. And there's nothing selfish about it. In fact, I think it is, it's life sustaining when you do that.
Absolutely. So you said you could pull back. What does that look like? Like you don't answer their calls or their texts, or what do you think that looks like for Jeannie?
I think that could look like only reaching out once every 2 weeks instead of once a week. Mm-hmm. It means not answering their texts the moment that they text you. It means not feeling obligated to invite them to the party that they're throwing. Mm-hmm. Like, stop and think about, well, what are you getting in return for your effort? Mm. Because there is a reciprocal nature to friendships. Friendships are not one way. And what you often find in a relationship is when you stop putting in the effort, the relationship completely disappears. And what you come to realize is, holy shit, this actually wasn't a friendship. This was me chasing something. And this was me thinking that the relationship was something more than what this person thought it was. And the same is true in romantic relationships, that a lot of times when you let the person reveal who they really are, you stop chasing them, you realize, oh, I was just in a relationship with the possibility and the potential of who this person and what this could be. And the second I stopped living in a fantasy and I started pulling back the chase and I just started seeing how this person showed up, I realized, oh shit, like I've been in a fantasy land in this relationship for a long time, pretending that it was something else. And that's a painful moment, but I'd rather you do that on your own than have somebody rip out the rug from underneath you because you were too scared or too stupid or too blind by your own fantasy or chasing or insecurity that you didn't wake up and drop the reins and realize you're the one putting in all the effort.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
And here's the other thing. Everybody's busy. Like, I also feel like I've got 100 people or more that I think are really awesome that I never see, that I don't have time to text. And guess what? They don't have time to text me either. And I feel like life has gotten so busy and people move a lot in modern life. Mm-hmm. It's not like it was when our parents or grandparents were around where everybody stayed in the same state or county. And so I also think you got to upgrade your definition of friendship in general to not have to mean that you have to be in constant contact with people. Some of my favorite people in the entire fucking world live the furthest away from me. I almost never see them. We don't text back and forth. We did not raise our kids together. And yet, if they needed me, I would be on a plane. Every time they call or they text once a year, whatever, I smile. And so also don't grip this friendship thing so tight, because I think you have a lot more friends than you realize. You may not be spending time with them. And instead, you're pouring energy into people who are not giving it back to you. And that's when you got to pull in the let them theory. Just like, stop chasing everybody. Stop pouring into things that don't give you energy back. And then when you stop doing it and you let the other person show up or not, now you know what you're dealing with.
Awesome. Love that. Upgrade your friendship expectations.
Hey, Jennifer from Baltimore, you're on.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Your let them theory has really been life-changing for me.
How so?
I recently left a 21-year teaching career to write a novel, something I've been wanting to do for over 30 years.
Wow.
And I know. And it was with the support of my wife, because obviously I'm not bringing in income because I'm writing all day, every day. I'm wrapping up my last chapter of my first draft, which is exciting. People have been very opinionated about this whole transition, most of it good. With my mother-in-law, it hasn't been as positive.
Okay.
My son, who's 11, had told her back in June I quit my job. And I hadn't told anybody, but he's 11. Yeah, her response was, "That's crazy. This is ridiculous." And my son, who's my biggest cheerleader, said, "It's not ridiculous. I think it's great," which is very heartwarming. But as time went on, I haven't had any contact with her. And apparently she had talked to my wife and was a little upset about the whole decision. So I'm trying my best to be in that let them theory with her, but I haven't seen her since.
How long's it been?
It's been, I think it was back in June that I saw her, around the time that my son had told her.
Okay. So it's been many months since you've seen your mother-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
who was extremely critical of your decision to quit your job and pursue your dream of writing this novel.
Right.
And is that a
Right.
long time for you not to see your mother-in-law?
It is. I mean, they live only an hour away. We usually see them every few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't come to any of my son's baseball games. I don't know if she's avoiding us. I'm not really sure why that is happening.
Okay.
But my fear is a lot of time, because of her opinions, I kind of shut down around her. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't think this is right that she's expressing these opinions, especially to my child, and just letting her do this. I don't know if I could live with that.
Well, what is it about her opinion that really bothers you?
I guess it's because sometimes she will gossip about other people to me, so I fear that she's gossiping about me to others, but I shouldn't really be concerned about that.
What about her gossiping about you to other people bothers you?
I'm not sure. I guess I don't want people formulating an opinion about me without getting to know who I am. I've been fortunate enough that other family members have not done that, and they've gotten to know me. I don't feel like she has gotten to know me very well.
Okay. So, Jennifer, a couple things. everybody has an opinion about you, whether they know you or not, right? Like everybody forms an opinion. It's just a fact of life. And the real opportunity for you is to unhook yourself from that concern. And the let them theory is so important for you because your mother-in-law's opinion about your career is irrelevant to you. And I could come up with a couple really positive interpretations to her outburst to your son. One of the positive interpretations is that she cares deeply about you all. She has a deep fear about financial issues, and she's just worried. And she does not know how to process her worry, which is stemming from concern and love and all the beautiful things. It's not an indictment that you're dumb or that you're not going to be successful. It's her like fear and her like, wah, coming out, which means it's not about you at all. And the second thing that I want you to consider, and this is a totally different interpretation because you're in your story that there's something wrong with her having a negative opinion. And the fact is, she just has an opinion that rubs you wrong. She blurted out this opinion to your 11-year-old. And the coolest part of the story is your 11-year-old was like, well, you know what? I think it's cool, which shows you're a fucking amazing mom. Okay, let's just get that straight. And
Thank you.
and that your son has his own opinions and isn't swayed by what his grandmother thinks and is able to express them, which is a beautiful thing. And then the other piece that I will tell you is, what if what this is triggering is a deep dream that your mother-in-law had for her own life, and she never had the courage to go for it. And when she hears somebody that she knows and loves has suddenly quit a job, which for that generation meant stability, it's what you did, it's kind of what everybody expected of you. You have done something that for her was unthinkable. You have put yourself first. You have put yourself out there as an artist. You're in a marriage where your spouse supports you doing that. Like, that might actually have been something she could never experience. And so you having this in your life is stirring something up in her. Now, saying all that doesn't justify or excuse the fact that she was opinionated about it. It just gives you a completely different interpretation of why people react, especially the people who are closest to us, when we go for something that we really care about. And the reason why is when she hears that you're doing something amazing, you have quit your job, you have the support of your spouse and your son, you are pursuing this manuscript, you're going for it, it makes people look in the mirror and go, well, what am I doing? And so you have no idea what got stirred up other than fear and angst and something else. And being of that generation, she has almost zero tolerance for that kind of emotional turmoil inside her. So she pukes it at her grandson. That sounds like a typical grandmother to me. And if she's gossiping about you, Jennifer, who cares? Like, why do you care?
Yeah, you're right.
And look, it hurts. You want the mother-in-law or the mom who is always supportive and always talking amazing things about you and has your back. Like, we all deserve that. And most of us don't have that because most people are not capable of that because they haven't figured out how to sit with emotions that are uncomfortable. And so we gossip and we snap at people and we say things that we don't mean to say. And then when you sit with that, then just like you, she's nervous to see you.
Right.
And so here's what the let them theory also does. You got to unhook from your mother-in-law. You are now an artist and a novelist who is observing the stories of life and telling stories. And there is something inside this dynamic with her that if you create the space where she can have her reaction and you can have yours, and both are true, then you have this space to be able to then do the most powerful part of the let them theory. You let her be, but then what do you need to let her know? Do you need to let her know that it hurt your feelings? Do you need to let her know that you would love to feel supported in what you're doing? Do you need to let her know your boundaries? Or do you need to just realize that the thing that's actually bothering you is that she hasn't been supportive, period, or that it's been tense, period? Like it might kind of excavate something deeper.
Right.
What do you think it is?
And it might be deeper because I don't really feel like we've gotten, I mean, it's been 20 years, and I don't think we've really gotten to know each other very well. We just kind of spend time around each other.
Ooh, a lot of us can relate to that. Spending time. Is there something that your spouse is doing or not doing that would help with the situation? Or is this just one of those situations where you need to let her be her and she doesn't have the capacity to show up differently? And you need to let yourself.
Are you talking about my spouse?
No, I'm talking about your mother-in-law.
I mean, my spouse is very into the let them theory, and she's always been like that with her parents. They're going to be the way they are, and she just lets them be.
Yeah.
And I'm not the type of person that likes to stir up emotions, especially when it's not my mom. It's my spouse's mom, and I don't want to like cause any friction.
Well,
so I'm very quiet about everything.
So are you not yourself?
No, I don't think I am myself around her.
Well, that's why you are just around her. And the question is that in order for you to shift the relationship, you have to do two things at once. One is you got to give your mother-in-law the space to have her opinions and to get her feathers ruffled and to get upset about things and to not get hooked into it. And you must give yourself permission to show up as you. And I think that's what ultimately is bothering you, is that you're realizing that you have been just protecting the peace in this relationship. And in doing so, you have started this war with yourself because you know you're not yourself around your mother-in-law.
Right.
And that's something that you can shift. It doesn't require you to like express boundaries necessarily. It just requires you to show up a little bit differently, more of yourself. And you also have within you the right and the ability to make requests of your spouse around the way that you could be supported better in this relationship.
Okay.
Okay? Is that helpful?
It's very helpful.
What did you get from that conversation?
That I just need to open up more and be myself and not just quiet myself in situations that might be a little uncomfortable and just show up as me.
Yeah.
And then when I don't feel supported, express it. I don't feel supported.
Exactly. That's it. And then let them support you or not. That's all there is to do. You are responsible for expressing your needs, for expressing your feelings, for showing up as yourself, and for doing what you need to do to create a better life for yourself. That's what you're responsible for. Other people are responsible for their emotional reactions, for their feelings, for their boundaries, for all of that. You don't need to manage that anymore. You just need to focus on being yourself. Fabulous. And I can't wait to read your novel. Good job. I love you too.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.